Welcome to Quivering Whispers, where we turn up the volume on what's often left unsaid. We are Titti and Esther, and in these conversations, you'll hear our perspectives as we delve into the profound mysteries of sex that goes beyond skin deep, where every sigh, every sensation, and every moment of quiet carries its own wisdom. In the midst of our hectic lives, we capture our unadorned conversations. No polished scripts, no fancy microphones. It's an unfiltered, bare exploration, much like the raw, untamed nature of the sensual terrain we explore.
Yeah, can you sense into where we meet in your body?
Hmm. Yeah. There is something going on for me where I'm laughing on the inside, and there's something in me thinking, yeah, how is this silence and stillness ever going to be interesting enough? Like
For the listener?
how difficult is it to convey to someone that might be totally on the conventional sex road in this moment?
Yeah, well, I guess we're not really trying to convey anything. Oh, I'm not trying to convey anything in this moment. What I am feeling is like my vaginal canal is twinging.
Mm.
And it's a funny thing when your vaginal canal does that. You kind of want to listen.
Yeah.
It slows everything right down, and um, it draws you in. But yeah, naturally you have to be, or you would want to be receptive to it in order to do that. But even if we didn't put this in, it wouldn't bother me. I just think that the body sensations are, well, they're so verbal, really, aren't they? They are so communicative.
Mm. Since we started talking And especially slowing down and going more into silence and stillness, I'm noticing how it's as if there's like this slow buzzing sensation. And yeah, as if that would start somewhere there deep inside my belly, and then it spreads throughout my body and beyond. And when I ask that question, how could this be interesting to someone who is, doing sex the conventional way, let's say, I noticed afterwards, remembering, well, I was on that type of road, conventional sex. I didn't know anything else. And my body one day just said stop. I didn't know why, or that there was, something else. I didn't know how to do it differently, but it was very, my body very clearly communicated with me that this is not the way I want to continue to make love.
Yeah.
I want to also I need to kind of speak into it's tricky actually to be in this buzzing sensation with you, Esther, and and also talk about the past, for instance, or it's like to have that thought process happening at the same time, but I'm enjoying it too. But it's, one part of me just wants to kind of sink into the sounds and the vibrations.
Yeah. So yeah, it feels like these reverberations coming up, like almost like earth trembles. Earth, what else does the earth do? How does the earth rumble? That's right, rumble. Earth rumbles from the depths of the cave floor, from the vaginal tissues up through the core of the being. And then creating that buzzing. I don't think necessarily that when I was having conventional sex that this silence would have pulled me in as much. Probably because my mind was entrapped by a merry-go-round of stimulation. I mean, and it can still do that sometimes, even now, but not in sex. And I think the mind literally drops down into the body, or the mind starts deferring to the body, and then that's the initiation into the underworld, because you're no longer as surface stimulated. For me, it had to be a sense of losing more than gaining from the sexual experience.
Yeah.
So I wasn't getting the intimacy that I was promised
Mm.
from doing all of these sorts of things. So it became not worth it to participate.
Mm.
Whereas when I was younger, somehow I believed that connection, that was my only passage of connection, like with a man. And I knew nothing about connecting in with myself. And so it just was the way that I received being close to the person I was being intimate with, even though it wasn't very close at all.
And I'm wondering if you would be willing to speak into a little bit about this when the body says no like that. I've spoken to many other women. I'm trying to remember if I've heard a man say that. Maybe I've had, but right now I'm remembering women having said that they get really, really bored. It is what most of them say somehow, or that that their body just says no in this way that it happened for me.
Yeah. It blows my mind that you can open up a book and that for how creative and how immediate our sexual aliveness is, that you can open up a book that will prescribe to you ways for you to connect your body with another, to the point now where you go to bed with somebody and you have formula positions that you get into that everybody knows.
Mm.
And when I was young, I didn't understand, I didn't have any kind of ability to question that paradigm, because I was busy questioning everything else, but I never questioned the sexual paradigm because I took some things for granted. One was that adults knew more than me about it,
Mm.
that teachers knew more about it than me, that my parents knew more about it than me because they seemed to have some little secret about it.
Mm. Mm.
Um, and it was always tinged with a form of shame. And I never picked up on any of that. I never thought, well, if it's so shameful and there's so much kind of underhanded disgust about it on some level, there is a level of, it's hard to sort of explain it, but there's the level of self-loathing in the way that people have sex on the planet, even though no one would dare admit it. There's things like cum towels, and you come into a tissue, and socks, and all sorts of things, and you can't walk in on your parents, and you must be hush hush around children, and it all indicates a level of censorship, of self-doubt. But as a child, I didn't pick up on any of that, and I took for granted a lot of things. So it apparently made sense to me that when you kiss somebody, you look like they do in the movies. You open your mouth, you shove your tongues in there. And it was only in my late 30s that I actually thought something is wrong here. Something's really wrong here. I've had, because of the degree to which I've explored this, I have had quite a lot of life experience, and the amount of and I wouldn't say it's, a lot in comparison to anyone else, but the amount of lovers that I've had who have said, I didn't know that you could kiss like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So these positions and these ideas of what you do to the body are so antiquated in comparison to energetic lovemaking. It is beyond. It is beyond ridiculous.
Yeah, it reminds me of when I went on this journey because my body said no and I didn't know how to do it differently. And I started to understand because I had started to explore being more in my body in all other areas of life. That's how I all of a sudden understood that, wait a minute. So I'm sinking more down into my body in general, but as soon as it comes to sex, I'm no longer in my body. And so I went on this journey, and me and my then husband, we had someone supporting us on that journey for some time, and this person showed us a video library that was apparently quite tricky to get in contact with or something, where it showed people who were having at least a more that was what I was going to say. I had noticed that when I was more in my body, I could I could be animated, let's say, by something that felt more as an authentic expression of me. But I noticed that that wasn't happening in sex since I was not feeling my body. And then we saw this video library of people who were at least more animated in that way, instead of just using these how do you say it, like beforehand mental ideas about different positions and how to do it. And both of us, we were shocked and touched at the same time, because first of all, it was like, I think I was 30 something, and I was like, this is the first time I see people making love in this way. This is the first time I'm seeing people making love, and it's not porn. And there was a simultaneous sadness of almost like having wasted time in this body doing it that other way. And also some type of excitement, because it was almost as if my body said, don't worry, Titi, I know how to do that. I can show you. It's like a remembering. And it wasn't to copy them either, but it was like, oh, there's freedom here to be animated by that expression that feels like the authentic expression of me.
Yes. You're right. So many bodies don't get a chance to experience it until much later in life.
Mm. And this is
And
why I
there
want to Esther. Yeah.
No, there is a grief about it. When you come upon it.
Yeah, this is why there's this. I remember once you talked about these moments when, again, I've mostly heard women come to that place, but I'm not sure it's just women, but like when they come to this place where they kind of go, I don't want to do this anymore. And it's not that they don't want to have sex anymore, but it's how it's interpreted. And you once talked about this. I think you used the word initiation. I'm wondering if there's something coming for you around that right now.
Yeah, just when you're saying that, there is, because it's a full body initiation. So almost like the breasts and the nipples and the erogenous zones, they get saturated. They get, what's that thing that women get when they're all touched out? Yeah. And it's almost like other body parts go,
Oh.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's nice to watch you do that. But what about us? We're really far behind here. And having said that, that just came to me while you were talking. Having said that, because the whole being needs to be light filled. Every single flesh cell, everything, every single cell, every single molecule is made up of light. Um, what's actually happening in conventional sex is the genitals are being loaded with artificial emotions, pretending to be in rapture when it's all just a mind overlay. And so now you've got a vagina or a penis that's covered over with this layer of illusion. And at the same time, the body's withering and dying from a lack of love of it ever being touched in a way where it knows itself as radiant. You know, from the tips of the toes to the ends of your hair, the roots of your hair and your head. And a lot of it becomes mechanical. So when it's positions, you know, it's all about, oh, I can't get deep enough, or we're not the right shape for each other, and or we need to do doggy position or something, you know. Most women are bracing very, very hard in those places anyway, but they don't notice anymore. Don't notice. They're so scared that if a man's going to go inside of them, who knows what he will hit, how hard he will hit it, if she's actually really interested in, if she's even anywhere near his sexual temperature. Not that she needs to be, but in conventional sex, her cooler sexual temperature isn't honoured. So, yeah, the initiation is the body. The soul realizes that what it was here for, which lovemaking is without a doubt one of the most direct ways to sense God on this planet. And so if it's your path to sense God, and for most women it is, especially through lovemaking, you're going to start to feel like something's not right at some point. And that's the initiation.
And I think that is beautiful to somehow send out there. We don't even know who we're talking to here, if we're talking to someone at all. But there's something in me that for some reason finds that important to send that out there, because again, I think that this moment where the body somehow says no, or in whatever way it happens, and I suppose the body is always there saying something in and that is being translated in different ways, but from what I've heard it gets interpreted in a lot of different ways that says that something's wrong. Something's wrong with that woman, or something's wrong with her body, or maybe, you know, something's wrong with the relationship. But mostly there's a lot of sadness in me hearing how it's interpreted as something being wrong with her or with her body.
I just want to say, you know, when you said we don't know if we're talking to anyone, without a doubt, we're talking to somebody, which is us. So at the same point, and I'm not expecting everybody to understand this, but we're on the precipice of taking the part of us that we want to communicate to, if you like, inside of us. Otherwise, we wouldn't be saying this. These words are always for the person speaking. They never, anybody who is speaking, it's for them internally. And the world then mirrors that on the outside, depending on how much they take in their own advice and what they've got to learn from it.
Listening to you say this, Esther, I have the biggest smile on my face. I love hearing you talk in this way about the relationship between internal and external in that way.
Well, there you go. You're mirroring my part getting excited that I remind it that that I talk to myself all the time, and taking it back to lovemaking, actually, I very, very clearly saw that nature is inside of us first. And so these are the kind of places where you can go when you connect in with your own source. What you're talking about is for the woman not feeling like she got it wrong or is wrong or the vagina's stuffed or whatever, is that her own impressions, which again are connected deeply to source, are being misperceived and distorted and corrupted, which denies her own truth, which means they'll never, it's very, very difficult to find love when a person doesn't know their own truth. That's connected to the wellspring of their own holy water internally. And what do you think? Why do you think there's all this talk about, oh, she's so wet, and it's been deeply corrupted. It's been deeply trying to think of the word. There's another word as well. Misrepresented, let's just say.
Yeah.
But when you discover the purity of the holy water inside of you, that it's not there so that someone can smoothly move in and out of you. Right. So there's different layers to have sex on. And I think what happened to me as well after a time of doing still point lovemaking is pleasure. Yes, pleasure is beautiful. Pleasure is gorgeous, but pleasure stops being only for the personal gain, and it becomes something much more fruitful.
Yeah, and I'm remembering now, I have a friend who often talks about this when it comes to the men and what do you call that? Like erectile dysfunction. She talks about how it to her feels as if there's some type of intelligence there too, that too can get interpreted as, oh, there's something wrong with him, there's something wrong with his penis, and I'm noticing, wondering now if there is some type of if that is the if that could be the at times that could be the counter experience in a male body, that the male body tries to communicate something which gets interpreted as, again, like, oh, there's something wrong, because as soon as it can't look the way it does most, in porn, it often gets interpreted as something being wrong.
Yeah, it would be, because love is now, the penis does not need to be hard, not at all. It can be whatever it is. The penis isn't even, it's what you were talking about before. It's the energy that animates it. And the energy that animates it needs to be left, not exerted upon. It needs to be left alone to do what it does, and to have a deep trust in the bodies of the two people making love. Like, I'm amazed at what our beings can do in making love. And the most beautiful thing that I'm very happy about is, because I see a lot of people not be able to directly touch the energy of the soul. So dancing, you'd probably say the closest, I would sometimes watch Duke or or some, I've got one, bachata, is that how you say? Where the woman's very flowy and the man is holding some form of presence for her. And I watch those women, and even then I go, yes and no, it's still not it, because the woman's too effortful in it. There's too much effort. The love making I'm talking about, the energies do it, and it's almost like you are the paintbrush and the energy is the paint.
Yeah.
But you're a magic paintbrush. You're a magic paintbrush. So your consciousness is the magic paintbrush. You've got a blank canvas, and the energy is the paint, and it makes this incredible art picture. And you wouldn't even have known what was possible on that blank canvas. Whereas you see how dancing, even those dancing stars, even those people who look like they've still got the positions, they've got the structure. There's a limitation to where they go with all of that. Now, that the being in it is being animated, absolutely. But still, I believe for a woman, it would feel effortful.
Yeah. And that reminds me of how, again, when I was taking my first step on this journey, so first I went through this whole period of not having sex, and then I was coming more down into my body. Let's say I wasn't having penetrative sex, is what I mean. And then I was going to try that one day. And so when the man came inside of me, he was just inside of me for a few seconds. And then I said, whoa, stop. Because what I noticed happened was that it was as if something took over my body and started moving in a way that it had learned to move, again, in porn. And I was like, whoa. And it was, and also the fact that it was moving. It was almost as if like the penis came inside, and something in me said, "Titi, move." um, and
Yeah.
I didn't know what this was, and so I was kind of, exploring this for myself, and then I noticed, oh, the thing is that for me to feel my body, to really feel the sensations within, I would like to be completely still. But I learned, and I remember I was, this teenager, and I had a lot of male friends, and they were talking about having sex and whether the woman was, how do you say in English, like good or bad in bed. And one really important thing that made her good in bed was if that she moved like crazy.
Yeah.
And also if she was really tight. So these were two things that I noticed that my body did as soon as the penis came inside. I clenched and I moved. But I could all of a sudden see this, and I was like, whoa, again, like something just said, no, stop. I just know, because this is not really me. There's something else taking over here. That's more like a mental pattern, a mental idea of what I'm supposed to be doing. And
Yeah.
it was really interesting because I noticed, like, I actually, and I talked to this man about that. It's like, I I I explained to him that I need to be completely still. And I know that's totally weird, but it's because I really want to feel everything. And to do that, I got to be still. And then years later, it was so beautiful when I found your work and this still point lovemaking. Um, yeah,
Mm.
but I didn't have that support then, but
Yeah. But your body knew, and I love that you were already knowing to listen to it. Um, there's a couple of things that happen there, though. I believe that there really is an ability for the masculine principle to really lead the woman on a psychic level. And so, depending on how much sexuality is sitting between the couple, is how much they're going to access as a combination. For him to have even been having that experience with you where you wanted him to slow down, I would say his body was starting to give him signals. Otherwise, you would not have been in the external world bringing that to him. So already he was, now depending on how the man responds to that, he can either see you as completely separate from him and nothing to do with you, and it's all to do with you personally, nothing to do with him. Or he can actually go, this woman has come to me because I want to know something different. So he was very fortunate to have that experience already with you. But yes, we are so programmed that I'd say for him to have gotten inside of you, though, I'm just saying this, I'm not sure that would have just happened. Like there might have been kissing and there might have been touching. And so in every single touch and action and movement on your body can either accelerate your stimulation or connect into the beingness that you already are. And I've recently had a very first-hand experience of that. Someone I was deeply attracted to and did not expect them to kiss me and do whatever happened. And I couldn't slow it down. And this is very important because that's how I know what women are dealing with out there. And the parts of me that are still waiting to understand themselves deeper. So when I said out there, I immediately realized it was in me. Things moved quickly and I was able to go into the sensation and be like the paint and the paintbrush. But as soon as it picked up into getting a little bit more conventionally moving towards the usual kind of erogenous zones, I said no, because I could no longer, I was noticing that I was starting to bounce out of the sensation. I couldn't become the sensation. I was now thinking about the sexiness of it or something. Yeah. That's the difference. You're thinking about the sexiness or you are the sensuality.
Yeah.
And there's something else when you were talking about the men and movement. Those boys knew less than maybe even you. And most women only have their limited knowledge of our bodies to springboard from.
Yeah, and I've always been, maybe everyone is, but like there has been this drawing in when it comes to sex. Like I've been fascinated. I've been very curious, and that again was a moment where I realized that, wait a minute, the way I've been doing it has robbed me of truly being the sensations, as you say it here now. Like I enjoy that, but it has robbed me of having this, of having an experience in my body. It has all been this programmed mental ideas of what I'm supposed to be doing. So it was again one of those moments where I was like, oh, so many years I've been doing it this way. And how strange that so much of what I've learned, so much of what I've seen and understood sex to be is actually taking me away from being in my body and being completely immersed in the sensations.
Yeah. And it's a hard track to slow down because I have a young daughter. I don't know if you could, and I already endeavor to have her connecting with her body. But school and stimulation and and you almost have to rely on those things
Mm.
because you might be a single mother or whatever, and having her sense her body is quite challenging and leaves her very open to the kisses that she sees in movies and the things she picks up at school from other kids around how you touch. And I'm planting seeds, but I can see how, like I will say to her, you know, when you kiss, you can actually feel into your mouth. You don't have to kiss the way that they show you on the movies. And when she goes to kiss me, because she almost practices on me, if you like, but it's very, of course, it's very play acting. We both slow it down and I can tell she's feeling a bit more of her mouth, you know.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
Well, I don't, you know, it's the best I can do with the onslaught of sexual gratification and stimulation out there, just in the way that toys and everything, it's all geared for that. But it's amazing.
Yeah, and now this that was, I noticed before that there was something where I felt as if I lost track, but it was when I was talking about moving fast and clenching, of like how, because you had mentioned the effortlessness and the efforting. And that is something I have explored again and again and again, that there is this program that says, if you're not efforting, Titi, you're probably not pleasing your partner enough. So you should be efforting. Like, I don't, this program is not happening as much anymore, but I remember that was something that I really had to go through. That sex was something that I associated with efforting.
Yeah. Totally. And it's interesting because now when I'm doing the energetic lovemaking, the bracing in my system is still there. You know, like, so there'll be a stillness. There'll be an absolute stillness in me, but there'll be pockets of bracing. And I have to consciously go in and relax those parts. And what's interesting is when I relax those parts, the openings are multiple. They're in places you could never even imagine, just as the bracing is, really, because you can't feel the bracing when you're in the middle of conventional sex. It's like a defense mechanism of fear that's constantly glossed over because in this moment you're supposed to be excited. You know?
Yeah.
And really you're efforting at fabricating excitement.
Yeah.
Otherwise, who knows what you're all going to feel. You know, you might have to face the fact that, wow, this is actually really disconnected.
Yeah.
And so I don't really go too much into it, but I definitely remember like being with the tantric master, and I was asked to do something, and I thought, oh God, like, that's just, who wants to do that? That's so laborious. And I'm sure he actually got a bit of a kick out of showing women that there's no labor involved.
Yeah.
God's the one behind the scenes doing the effort. And sex is supposed to remind people of that.
Oh, wow. That touched me, hearing you say that. Yeah.
That's what we go to sex for. We go to sex to remember who's actually in charge. And I think that's gotten very mixed up with the whole masculine and feminine analysis. But yeah, we are not the ones doing. And you go to sex, into the temple, the holy temple, to remember that and to give all of your efforts to God. It's the ultimate prayer.
Yeah. I've been fascinated for such a long time with this, noticing patterns and becoming aware that by sensing my body, I can allow something else through. And I've been fascinated by how, since I suppose, since there's so many patterns around sex or lovemaking, it's it often shows me things when I'm exploring that I can then apply in my everyday life, in in parenting, or in my role as a when I go to work, or when I relate with the world.
Yes.
But like the way you said it now, Esther, I would just really love to take that in again. Like, I really loved how you worded that. Um,
Mm.
mm,
Well, that's what makes it so regenerative.
hmm.
And if you have a partner who knows that, you go, oh, that's right. We're not the ones. We're also not the ones navigating our relationship.
Mm, mm, mm. Yeah. I could talk to you for 3 hours more.
Yeah, that was pretty
Or
cool.
just
But
be in silence and feel these yeah. um,
that was so good, Titty. I
mm,
loved talking to you. How did you feel?
mm, mm. It is such a nice experience. Like, first of all, obviously talking about lovemaking, that's yummy in and of itself. But in general, to have a conversation where silence and sensing is a part of the conversation, that's Hmm. So is there anything else that you would like to express as a way to complete this recording, Esther?
No.
Hmm. How was it that you said it? We come to lovemaking to remember.
I don't remember.
We are
To
not.
remember. I don't remember. That it was something about God.
Yeah.
It's
That we don't need to effort.
no.
We can say it like that this time, at least. That feels nice for me. Come to lovemaking to remember that we don't need to effort.
Yeah. That's the purpose of it.
Thank you for joining us on this unfiltered journey through the sensual terrain of quivering whispers. We hope that these conversations have resonated with you, offering insights that go beyond the surface. If you enjoyed today's content, please consider sharing it with friends, family, or anyone you think might find our conversations meaningful. In the description section, you'll find ways to connect with us. We'd love to hear how these conversations have impacted you and continue this exploration together.